Hey guys, and in this tutorial we're going to be covering doing a segmented health bar shader in Unity. So if we just look at this example here, we've got an offset variable, so we can go from full health to no health, and then we also have how much it is segmented, so we could go as high as 50, as low as 10, whatever number we want to put in here. And you've probably seen segmented health bars in games before. It's a great way of indicating total health. For example, in a game like League of Legends, each segment would represent 100 health. So if you have more health, like 2000, you'd have 20 segments. And then we also have the color for the shader, which is just a simple variable as well. And we'll also cover a script of how to manage that in C# as well. So the first thing we'll need to do is create a new material, and we'll call this HP mat. And we'll also create a new Shadergraph, and this can be an unlit shader, and we'll just call this HP shader. And then if we just put the new Shadergraph, I misspelled it, let me just rename that, so HP shader, and we've put it on the new material, and we'll just put the material on these objects. Okay, so if we enter the shader, the first thing we'll want is a tiling and offset node, and then we'll want to plug this node into a split node. I believe we want the red channel, and we'll put this into a smooth step node. So what we're simply doing here is taking the red channel out of this, splitting it, and what it's giving us is a left to right gradient between black and white. But in the smooth step node, if we just put 0.5 and 0.5, what we're getting here is just a dividing line. So this is perfect with the offset node, because if we put a vector 2 into it, and we offset on, I believe it'll be the x-axis, you can see the smooth step node is moving. So this is what we'll do to control the health bar going from full to empty. We'll just create a float so it's exposed, and we'll call this offset. And then we'll go into here and call the variable underscore offset. And we want this to default to 0, that's fine. Let's make it a slider between minus 0.5 and 0.5, and then let's plug this into the x of the vector 2. And now if we take all of this, plug it into the base color node, save. If we go back to the scene, we can see here that it goes from 0.5 being full, and then minus 0.5 being empty. Okay, so the next part we want to do is add some color to this bar and also be able to segment it. So if we go back into here, if we just take everything, move it to the left slightly, and we'll want a color node, and we'll just call this color. That should be fine. And we're just going to plug this into a multiply, and we'll plug the smooth step in, and then plug that into the base color. And this is very simple, really. Anything multiplied by white, which is a 1 value, will give you the value you have already. So red, for example. Anything multiplied by black will give you no value, because black is essentially 0. As for the segmentation, what we'll need is a UV node. We will take this out and split it once again. And we just want the red. And we'll put this into a modulo node. And then here, what this node does is allow us to repeat a texture. So we'll repeat it 10 times by putting in 0.1. And what we can do is actually make this a variable. So we call this segment amount. And then we just call this underscore segment amount. And we'll default this to 10. Pull this out, put in a divide node, and then let's just move this around, and we're going to divide by 10. So instead of putting 0.1 for it to repeat 10 times, what we can do is take the number 1, divide it by the amount of segments we want, which is 10, which will give us 0.1, and that will give us the result we're looking for. And now we have a variable that's exposed that we can move to increase or decrease the amount of segments seen. And we just go to 10. Now, to clean these segments up a bit, what we can do is put into a color mask. So with this color mask, we want a range of 1, and then what we want to do is just put a gray color in to the point where we can see how much of a segment we have. And we're just looking for the value or the size we want for each segment. I think this looks good at 79 on that value. And very simply, we have a color mask that we can now multiply with this output here. And if we go back to our scene, you can now see that the bar is segmented. And then we can also change the segment amount here. Now, as you can see, this shader at the current point actually works quite well on a 3D object such as this cube that we've elongated. It also works on a plane. What I'm going to do is reduce the segments so they're only on the top half. It's pretty common, you see that in a lot of games. But if you wanted to do something maybe more like the Dead Space health bar you see on its back of the main character, where it's a shader going down the object, then replicating something like this is actually kind of similar to what you would do in that sort of situation. But if we go back to the shader, we actually just need to duplicate these nodes. So Control D and pull them down. And I'm just going to delete this connection. You don't have to use a tiling and offset here. You could just use a UV node. And what we want instead is green. So we get this. And then we can add this to here, which will give us the segmentation only on one side. I think we're going to need to clamp this to 0 to 1 because we went over the value of 1 in some of the white space. And if you don't know how this is working, again, you can think of white as the value of 1, black as the value of 0. So by adding 1 to the top half, you're just removing all the black. But where you have 1 and 1, you're basically making 2. That's why we're just clamping it back down. And then what we'll do here is, once again, we'll multiply this. Oh, actually, no. We'll just plug this into here. So it's multiplied, and that's going into the output. And then if we save that and go back to the scene, as you can see, we have the segmentation that we're looking for. And we have the bar still working, and we can put how many segments we want. And then, yeah, this is something you'll see in a lot of games. Maybe a game like League of Legends, you'll see a bar like this. So the next thing we'll do is we'll go into a C# script and just show you how you can alter these values in script. So what we'll do here is create a new C# script. We can call this HP script. And if we just put this on the plane, and we remove the old script that we had here, and just put this one on, and then open that one up in our Visual Studio. And then what we'll need to do is assign some values. So the first thing we'll need to do here is declare a material, and we'll just call this material. And we'll also need to declare some floats. So we can have max health. We also want to declare current health is probably a value we'll need. And let's just set these both to 1,000. We'll also need a float for the offset. And we'll also need one last float for the segment. Okay, and then in the start method, we just need to assign the material. So material equals this dot get component, and then it's going to be a renderer. And we just want the first material on the object. It's important to note that the get component function is pretty expensive, so what we'll need to make sure is this is going in start and not update, so it's not being called once a frame. Once we've done this, we can just put a if input. And what I'm just doing here is just getting a key press that we can use just to activate the code. So here we'll just do B, and then for B what we'll do is set the current health to minus equals 100, so that just takes away 100 health every time I press B. And also I'll just copy this, and then when I press the key V, let's say, we'll do current health plus 100 and max health plus equals 100. So this is just making it 100 higher than what it is already. So it's taking the current value and then adding 100 onto it. And then what we can do is calculate the offset and the segment. So we'll do the segment first. So that segment health will be equal to max health, and we'll say divide by 100. So what this will mean is the segment health will be equal to whatever our max health is, so it'd be 1,000, and we'll divide it by 100, which will give us 10 segments. And then what we'll do here is go material, set float. So this is taking the material from the object, and we're setting the float that was in the shader, and we called that, I believe, underscore segment amount, and it'll need quotation marks around it. And then here we'll need to set that to segment health. So we've calculated how many segments we have. We're then setting it in the shader. So every time we press a button that changes either our health or max health, it should have an impact here. Well, just the max health one here, so the letter V. So let's just have a look and see what that looks like at the editor. So if we click on here and we press V, oh sorry, we need to press play. So now we're in play. If we press the keypad for V, what you'll see is the segments are going up. So if we click on the object as well, show the shader, we can see the numbers going up here, where it says 12, 13, 14. That's just as increasing the amount. Also, when I press B, I take away 100 health. So we're seeing that also. Let's see, why isn't that working on here? I see. The reason why it's not working is this still has the wrong script on it. So if we go back here, just remove this script, go into here, add the correct script on it. So now they both have the same script. We need to still do the script for the health going down. So if we reopen that. Okay. So yeah, we still need to set the offset. So offset health is equal to the current health divided by the max health. And then what's a little, so What this is doing is taking the current health 1000, dividing it by the max health, so that gives us a value of 1. But if we remember correctly, our range goes from -5, -0.5 to +0.5. So what we'll need to do is -0.5f. And what that will do is give us the correct value for the offset. And then if we go material dot set float, and it was _offset, I believe, and then we just say offset health here, finish that out, and then if we go back in, we should be able to see the difference. So I'm just going to click play once again. And now whenever I press V, it's increasing the amount of max health, the amount of segments that's available on the shader, and then B will take away 100 health. So there you can see how the code will interact with the shader, and you're able to make an interactive health bar for your game. If you enjoyed the tutorial, please consider leaving us a like, or maybe even subscribing to the channel. Thank you.